Going on, family? How's your heart doing? How you sleep last night, man? It's your favorite, my Mufa, coming back for another rendition of "How's Your Heart Doing" with Mufa. Feel like we're gonna do some remix here soon, man. I saw that boy Mark Lamont Hill got a podcast called Office Hours, so we might switch it up, And if we do, yeah, y'all gonna see, but it's gonna be all right. 'Cause ain't no wrong with that, you know. Ain't no wrong with that. It's all about experimenting, all about figuring out what works, and that's all we've been doing, man. That's all we've been doing. Um, Hope you've been doing good. Trying to get the setup right, man. Um, yeah, man. Hope y'all been doing good. Um, feel like a nigga ain't been on here in a while. Got a little camera shot real quick. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. I wanted to come on here and just fill in. It's been a hell of a season. How's your heart doing? Like I've been doing on different episodes, man. I want to take some time to take a moment of silence for all the oppressed people in the world. For those in Palestine and Congo and Sudan and Cameroon and Nigeria. Um, in every place where white supremacy and imperialism has created war zones and inhumane experiences in Los Angeles. Also, a moment of silence for all oppressed people. Not shame. Yep, and for the lives lost, man. We gotta pause real quick. But yeah, man, it's been a while. It's been a season. Yeah, last time I came on here, y'all, I was a therapist. I was working. I thought I was going to be in a position where I would be, working back in the profession that I've known for years. For those of y'all that are new here, my background is got a master's in counseling psychology. I've been working in that field for about a decade, and the most consistent, source of income that I've had over the past decade really has come from private practice psychotherapy. And the nuance in it is that I've done it from a place of being unlicensed. And while I know I've talked about it, I know it's been a while since I really like set the backdrop for how that even became. Um, in 2014, it's when I graduated from my master's program, and as I was walking across the stage, I also had at that time a 2-month-old daughter. I was a new father, first time father, and for licensure, to be a licensed therapist, there's a process that looks like you having to undergo supervision from a supervised, a licensed therapist who's a supervisor, to be able to accrue the hours to then be able to go and sit for the exam, to get a license. To get supervision, most supervisors charge anywhere from $300 to $500 a month to be able to supervise you and to provide you the hours that you need for this certification. So around that time, I was working at a job, my first job, my internship. And unbeknownst to me, I called out and didn't do it the right way. Ended up getting fired. Ended up going to work for a coworker who was opening up a practice, and she was like, "Hey, you can work here. I'll supervise you. We can figure something out." So over time, I helped her build her practice up. Kind of started building up my rhyme and rhythm as a practitioner, and it got to a point in like 2015 where she was like, yeah, well, I'm gonna have to charge you for supervision, and it's gonna be, 350, 300, 350, something like that. And at the time, mind you, I was helping her, so I'm getting a little bit of money helping her with her private practice, and also at the same time not really having no money coming in while I'm a new father. My daughter's mother's an engineer. I'm getting pressed like, hey, what you doing? So I'm like, hey, I'll figure something out, but I can't pay that 300. So end up kind of bouncing around different jobs, different things, and that, I say that story for another day. But that just kind of threw me into a space of, well, I've been doing soul sessions, my conversation parties. I've been doing this group therapy. Um, I've been facilitating. Let me kind of just switch gears and get into facilitation and nonprofit programming and doing that. And so, I just use my creativity to keep being the healer and creating safety. And at different times over the past couple of years, when I've needed a job or needed a stable income, I've kind of like, doubled back with therapy. Worked a job as a crisis therapist in Huntsville a few years ago. Um, and yeah, the one thing that I think it's showing me, for one, is this system is so fucked up, right? This system, especially the mental health system, is not one that I feel confident and feel safe to really be a part of and employ myself under. Um, the type of liberatory practices and the type of liberatory healing and I think environments that I'm looking to create or that I'm desiring as it relates to how we rehabilitate people, um, you're not gonna find that inside of what has been created in this mental health system in America. Um, doing the work that I've been doing over the past, you know, really since 2018, um, yeah, get 7 years strong, has been showing up and pouring into people's cup as a healer, showing up, pouring into people's cup as a therapist. Um, it's been the only thing that I've known, and a large part of my identity. Um, I think from that time it was like, hey, what can I do really well that other folks really can't touch me on, you know? Um, I created a platform for myself and I ran with it. And there was a period from about 2020 up until, yeah, I would say up until probably 2023 where it was somewhat sustainable. I was able to pay some bills, able to move around, able to build some things with that clientele, with that income. Um, and it's I'm realizing just how right now like it's time for a change. Um, it's time to do something different. I didn't realize like how, and it's crazy just kind of saying it out loud, not realizing how emotions kind of hit you. Um, it's a large part of my identity rooted in being the one that knows better, the one that desires to do better. Don't always get it right. And I think that's part of also why I'm making this decision to focus on my own healing now is because there was this intentional, um, positioning for me to be like, all right, when I pop out, I'm like, I'm an activist and I'm here for the betterment of black people. And then to kind of, you know, transform and to keep going into the idea of the trap therapist and, you know, hood baba and just this idea of a healer. I think it further dehumanized me in the context of who I am as a person and my path and why my own healing is really at the center of me even showing up like that, because a large part of why I'm doing this is the conditioning that I gotta show and prove my value and my worth before I'm worthy of this type of love and worthy of this type of care that I'm giving folks. But y'all wouldn't know that, right? So it's really been important. And during this time, you know, I done shown up and did some amazing work, y'all. I'm to my grant programs, you know, um, university, you know, athletic programs for different Division I teams. Like I done spoke to so many different organizations, and let alone the one-on-one work, just so I literally walking with people in their life. Um, and the thing that's showing me is just like how I really put that on autopilot and how, you know, my spiritual gifts really were making room for me. And at the same time, I was showing up for people and committed to processes and healing processes um, for others a lot more than I was for myself. There was so much love and so much game and so much that I was holding up and giving to people for their healing. And I did not create and have the environment to do that for myself. I was still putting myself in harm's way. And, you know, shout out to, you know, my love and somebody who's witnessed me for the past 4 years, um, for being the safe space that I could actually, yeah, be honest, um, to look in the mirror. All right. And I think that's something that, you know, I advise all therapists, all healers to do, whatever type of healer you are. However, in this environment, that's why I had to kind of set the context and the stage that, like, how I created this platform and how I've been doing this work has already been from a disadvantage. Because in the ideal world, I'll be licensed. In the ideal world, I would have had the resources and the support to be able to, you know, fall through and just come, you know, just basically complete the requirements necessary for me to be a professional at something that I do well. Right. So that speaks to my own story and my own lack of support, my own trauma, on my own journey, just around how I've had to do this, how I've had to show up, um, the ways my conditioning has said, well, I can't necessarily, you know, and even when it comes to licensure, it's not even like I wanted to get licensed. It's just the fact that, you know, there's more opportunities for stability as it relates to getting a job as a licensed therapist, right? Um, so it's forced me to really sit. It's forced me to really think. It's forced me to really um, be honest with myself about where the desire to even be a healer came from, and you know, is really rooted in a conversation that I had with somebody who I loved at one point in time. Like, you don't even talk to no more, which is wild. And it was like that's how I was showing up for everybody at the time. I was showing up as a healer. I was showing up as a helper, and it just made sense for me at a place where I really did not know where my next step was going. It's like, well, if I know I need community and I need people, then let me be the safety. Let me continue. Let me be the safety professional. Let me be the one that people lean on and need, so I won't ever be alone and by myself. right? And that's a hard pill to swallow. That there's decisions that I made and identities that I kind of rooted myself in, to feel like people weren't gonna throw me away, you know, um, and that's just real shit. And it is hard. I know there are a lot of people going through this, but I know to be 36 years old and to know that you've done so much. I was joking with my mom, or just joking, period. Like, I didn't, I've been going too hard at this. I can't stop and just sell insurance now. And lo and behold, just in terms of ways to make money, it's some things that I'm doing now that, I never thought I would be doing. However, that is a part of what this paradigm shift is, and this pivot looks like me detaching my identity and how I make my income with the therapist label and what it means to show up in that capacity. I just resigned from this position, and it was hard to do. They severely underpaid, like, you for a very high stress, heavy role position. And I don't know. I'm just in a space where I know there's more to me showing up as the blueprint and documenting and archiving my interrogation at this point in my life than it is for me to show up in a one-on-one capacity. Not saying that I don't have value in it. Not saying that like I'm not gonna do that. It's just doing it as a food, the PRN therapist versus a food, the mentor, just a real, you know what I'm saying, a nigga in the hood that you just so happen to be in a relationship with, just so happen to, what I'm saying, be connected to, or just as somebody who worked with the organization in a different capacity, right, in my business capacity, like it just makes more sense for me, and it just was pulling at me to really sit with, okay, am I really honoring myself in this season, or am I affirming to myself that this is what I'm worth and that I'm always gonna have to go above and beyond for crumbs? And in an age where we talk, everybody is screaming mental health, mental health, mental health. The reality is that their violence is the standard, and safety, especially for the masculine, is something that has to be completely redefined and completely, what I'm saying, um, fleshed apart, because there's just it's not a reality for a lot of us, even in times where something don't work for you. If it's taking you out of the way and making some money, it's looked at as a bad decision. Um, everything has to be about you know the huge play, the making $1 million, versus the reality of like what is a part of your purpose right now. Like, what are you here to do? Um, what if the prayer is being answered and your obedience to just say, "Nah, I can't be driving an hour to and from every day, or not even every day, but every couple of days, not even knowing when you're gonna work 15, 20 hours a day just to get your energy thrown back and forth." It's like, nah, take a pause and shift gears. Um, I know I'm worthy of something better, and I know the gifts and the value that I have as a healer. Like, it don't stop just because I don't call myself a therapist no more. Like, I even had to catch myself in conversation, but when I meet people, just being quick to say, or you know to interject that I'm a therapist. And I realize I've used it as a way to protect myself. It's like, let me let you know that I know what's going on before you come at me crazy. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just like, no, let me just be. Um, so I'm being really, really easy with myself and patient with myself. Like, I'm allowing myself to think, all right, you know, even when I was preparing to be a father, like, Last time I worked a factory job, you know what I'm saying, a temp job, like a decade ago, over a decade ago, you know, and being in a position where like I'm open to doing that again, even if it's just for a time, just so I can stack up some money, do some things. Like I'm okay with the hustle. I've done it before, like you know. And to flesh this out and to say it and to know, like it may, I might be right back where I desire to be in that week. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? It's just the reality of knowing that my mindset has changed, my ability to start over, to know like, all right, you don't just gotta keep doing the same shit you've been doing. You know, you don't gotta keep showing up and putting others before yourself, and yeah, continuing to sacrifice, knowing that when you get in better positions, you still gonna do for everybody. Like, all right, um, coming home to be able to really see some things, to accept some things about your people. Um, coming home to release some things, like to accept some things about myself. You know, um, it's wild. Like I said, the whole time it was really about me feeling like I had to show up with all this value to be loved, right? Just with all this extra, all the pizzazz, all the goddamn gusto. Um, what will happen when I know I'm enough? When I can separate my income from my integrity, right? Feeling like I gotta do so much to prove that I'm a good person or that my character has so much to do with how I make money, bro. That's that might be the whole point of me coming on tonight. Just say that right there. Like all the making up for the sins of my past, and especially in the season of me being a co-parent and how I've worked primarily with single mothers. It just felt like, man, I can't show up enough to make up for my fuck ups, right? My mistakes. And I want to release that, and I want to give that version of me a lot of love. Because I could have been doing a lot of other shit. I could have been on bullshit. I could have been running them up, and I wasn't. I was really helping folks see some things and heal. And for the version of me that was putting myself in harm's way. I think that's why this decision right now is so personal because I want to let my spiritual cord keep aligning me with the timeline where I'm safe and the timeline where I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, especially right now. Like I know it ain't a coincidence that I'm here right now. I know I'm being prepared for something. I know I'm being kept for something. So it's intentional for me to show up and for me to trust what's happening. You know, in real time, like 36. This is more to the midlife, crossroads than anything. Midlife crisis. I'm gonna say third. I'm gonna say quarter life crisis because I'm trying to live like a on 8. So this my 1/3 situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm gonna pivot, do something different. I know how far I am, but in terms of making money, hey man, all that this shit don't matter. Like I know what I want to do long term, but right now, yeah, I want to be open to what spirit can do for me. You know, so that's really where I'm at, and yeah, I'm just blessed. I'm thankful that I'm able to listen and obey, even when the shit is hard, even when I don't know what's next, because I don't know what's next. Um, got some desires, got some things I can see, but yeah, I'm gonna trust it. I'm gonna trust that the desires of my heart are being heard, are being aligned with my Ori, my destiny. So that's what I'm on, man. Ain't gonna be too long, but yeah, I had to make them decisions for me, man. I had to walk away from some things. So I love y'all. We finna crank this thing back up, man. Slowly but surely. Love y'all. Take care of yourself. Talk to you soon.